How much were they responsible for their own downfall in that second half?
For me, they're completely responsible, and they're all responsible for what happened. The behavior, the way they were thinking the game, the way they were, working together, or individually, I would say, the second half comparing to what they did in the first half. They're responsible for the results. They're responsible for the first half because how much they played and so well. And how poor they were in the second half. And we're not going to debate, if City raised their level in the second half or if it's Paris Saint-Germain would drop dramatically their level in the second half. But I really feel that, Manchester City kept being consistent, a little bit more than average, but they did what they had to do because they have the talent for that, and they became more aggressive. But in Paris Saint-Germain's side, for me, there is two phases. The first one, the first half, is perfect. Nothing to compare, nothing to blame the player of. They did what they had to do, and suddenly you see nothing. You see nothing because not too many people make the effort. So therefore, the defense has to drop. Then you get crazy, then you get anxious, then you get nervous, and happens what happened, and you have that result.
Jurgen, what could have Mauricio Pochettino done in that second half to counter what he was seeing play out?
Well, I think from a coaching perspective, it's really frustrating when you see them in the second half starting the first 5, 7, 8 minutes, and they're not doing any more what they did brilliantly in the first half. All you can do as a coach out there is to scream at your players and move them back up the field again. Tell Mbappe and Neymar to step it up, to close the spaces and to play that pressure game on Man City. That is so important. If you want to survive against Man City, you got to step on their toes. You got to win your one against one battles. You got to be physical, but controlled physical. So you got to be really disciplined. And they were not disciplined anymore in the second half. So it's really a lack of focus, a lack of concentration, especially the two goals. Not doing anything with that cross from De Bruyne. Somebody has to step in and has to clear that ball, obviously, because Navas is just kind of the last little piece on the line. He cannot do anything. And then, to get a free kick through your wall is just something that shouldn't happen on that level, not in a semi-final of a Champions League match. But you obviously, as a manager out there, all you can do is to correct things, to scream out there and get them back in the game. But they lost the momentum from the first minute on in the second half. They lost that momentum. They lost their physical presence that they had so well organized in the first half, and they paid the price for it.
Nedum, from a professional perspective, how embarrassing...
Dan, I'm sorry, Dan.
Go on, Frank.
Dan, I'm sorry if I may. Talking about that and Pochettino, I can regret one thing is when you see that Neymar is out after an hour, he's physically tired, everything. Why you don't take the decision to put him out? It's like Zidane yesterday with Marcelo. Marcelo being, nowhere near it like for an hour, but Zidane made a substitution before putting Marcelo out. And it's the same for me. I know Neymar is a talent, is a star, whatever he is, but if he's dead, why do you want to keep him?
Yeah, but Frank, that's a big decision. We know from previous shows you hate Neymar. You've got an agenda against him, and it's coming out again.
No,
if you're Pochettino, it's very difficult, isn't it, to take off your star man in the biggest match of the season?
Well, again, we go back to the question: is he a babysitter or is he a coach? And if he's a coach, he has the right to make a decision. If your best player is out of shape, he has to go out for the sake of the club, of the team, of the result. That's simple as that. And when I see Neymar being, nowhere near it for 30 minutes, but still on the field, I'm wondering why Pochettino doesn't put him out.
But Jurgen, that's a difficult call to make, obviously.
It's a difficult one. Maybe you get forced into that moment and you make the decision. On the other side, you can certainly make a tactical change and you see that he's getting tired, then put him up front. Put him between the two center backs of Man City and leave him up there. He doesn't need to run that much anymore. He keeps those two on their toes just with his simple presence. and Mbappe drops a little bit back and does more work. I think, brilliantly in the first half, it worked so well with Di Maria kind of moving in and out of midfield and giving them support all the time. It is difficult in a game like this to obviously then to pull Neymar. It is also difficult because, who you're going to bring in. What is your alternative now on the bench? But this is definitely something that Frank is right. You have to discuss that stuff with your assistant coaches, being out there, and then make a decision.
Away from Frank's anti-Neymar ways, Nedum, let's focus on that second goal from a professional perspective. How embarrassing is that for a wall to, crumble?
A wall. No, honestly, that type of stuff there, it's the bane of the lives of coaches, people who actually spend their careers trying to stop shots going in on goal. I think it's pathetic. And when you look at it come the next week, who's to say that might not be the most important moment in these two games? It's the type of stuff, as Jurgen said there, that should never be happening on that type of stage when the margins are so small between both teams. Like, even though Craig hates it, you look at the expected goal situation, and it's not like City had a ton of incredible chances. So to concede a goal like that, which is definitely preventable, it's not right. And the people who are in the wall, they have to do ultimately a lot better, because it's nice when you go and score goals and all that stuff, but moments like that where you're essentially giving the opposition a goal, that's the stuff that makes your job just that much harder. So I know I don't need to say it myself, but ultimately that's the type of thing which is just unacceptable.
The wall kind of summed up the second half for PSG.
Yeah.
It was just terrible. No blame from me on Navas for the goal from De Bruyne.
Right.
Personally, because I think it was you're betwixt and between. It's a rock and a hard place. The ball is so good from De Bruyne, as I think Jurgen said. Some defenders got to deal with it. Once a defender doesn't deal with it, you got John Stones at the back post. If he gets a touch on it, so you can't go. I mean, Shaka's not here, could explain it better than me, but you can't really make a move as a goalkeeper. It's just one of those things. We've seen it before, but listen, it's frustrating as a player when you're playing against a team that eventually hit its stride like Man City, and you can't get the ball. You can't get the ball back. And City were... If you look at City's passing from the first half to the second half, it was a little ragged, a little rushed in the first half. It was missing its target a lot, and it was going straight back to a PSG defender or midfielder. In the second half, there was little triangles all over the place, and then they'd switch it out to Mahrez. Then they'd switch it out to Kyle Walker, and we started to see Kyle Walker bombing forward as well. They just tantalised PSG in the middle of the park in the second half. The passing was so much crisper. They always looked as if there was one or two extra blue shirts, light blue shirts. They never looked like that in the first half. They never looked like they had somebody to pass to. And it was a complete contrast. And before we come on, we heard a little bit of an interview with Guardiola, who said, I just want us to be ourselves. Right. And we were not ourselves in the first half for whatever reason. But I was immensely impressed at a team, not backs to the wall, but, not playing at their best in one of their biggest moments, coming out, brushing themselves down, and producing a performance like that that's now put them in the driving seat with 2 away goals. You can't criticise that.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN+.